Hi, welcome to the Improved Garage YouTube channel. I'm going to be installing a aftermarket stereo in the Corolla. So I picked up the Corolla with the intention of flipping it. It is a LE model, which means it has power windows and power door locks, cruise control. That's about it. So there's no Bluetooth, there's no Carplay, there's no Android Auto, it has an aux input, is really the only option the factory radio has and a CD player. Luckily for me, there's no steering wheel controls, so I can put an aftermarket radio in here without having to worry about retaining steering wheel controls, which requires an interface that's a little on the pricey side. So I use this as an opportunity to kind of upgrade the Scion, which originally I didn't intend to keep. I bought that car to flip it, but a year later I still have it. And when I picked that car up, I had put this dual radio in here that has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and it was fine. There were a couple little quirks about it that I didn't like, and it isn't incredibly fast. So I upgraded it to a Kenwood, pulled this out, and then this is going to go into the Corolla. And my thought is that your average person would probably be willing to pay a little bit extra for the Corolla or not negotiate as much for the Corolla, given that they can use CarPlay and Bluetooth. We live in California. In California, it's illegal to talk on the phone while you're driving, so you need to be on a headset or you need to be using the Bluetooth in your car. So we're going to be doing a couple different things. I already have the harness wired up because it's actually the same as the Scion. Scion is a Toyota product, the Corolla is a Toyota. So I'm going to be just plugging the harness in. And you can watch the video on the Scion radio swap if you want to see how to wire up a harness from scratch. So in this case, I already have the harness wired up. I already have my USB cord installed. I taped the two of them together, so this has a little USB thing. And there's a key here. So if you tape this and this together with just tape, oftentimes what will happen is the tape will kind of squeeze them apart and they'll slowly come apart over time. I take a piece of a zip tie, like 4 inches of a zip tie, cut the end of it off, tape starting here, and then work my way towards the middle. And the zip tie keeps the two together. So just a little tip there. I do have the Bluetooth microphone, which is right here. I'm gonna have to put some new adhesive on that to get it stuck on, no big deal. And I did order a dash kit for the Corolla, so that's obviously different. So I'll show the dash kit installation here. All right. So the dash kit that I picked up is a Metra 958223. This Corolla is available with a black radio and a silver radio. Mine has the black radio from the factory, so just make sure that you get the right kit. So this is available in both a black and silver kit, depending on which radio you have. If you have a silver radio, chances are that you probably have more features and you probably need to do a steering wheel interface. I won't be touching on that as part of this video, but it's not that difficult to do. You wire in 1 or 2 extra wires for the steering wheel control interface, and it plugs into the back of the radio. And I've used the pack ones quite a bit, the Swix. So this is our kit, our black plastic piece, and then this is what the radio mounts to. So this is going to snap in around the radio. And it looks like I need the metal part from the, okay, I need the metal part from the radio. So read the instructions first. There's a good tip. All right. So let's start taking the car apart, and then we'll put this back together. So let's go to the car. Tools I'm going to need for this. I need a panel puller tool. I'll use my, this guy. I need a 10 mil, a Phillips, and a magnet. And that should be everything. All right. So put this here. Looks like. So to start off, we're going to remove the trim at the bottom, down here around the shifter. Let's put the e-brake on, get it out of the way. Use a panel tool. This plastic trim comes up and unsnaps like that. You can see the clips. It pulls this way. Same deal on the other side. You don't even need a tool. Just kind of unsnap it. Next, we have to get the shifter out of the way so we can remove this little clip here. If you have a stick, it'll be a little different. Put something in here to push this down, and then you could move the shifter. Make sure that your parking brake is on before you do that. When you put it in neutral, it'll roll. This unsnaps, and it looks to be connected by these two Phillips screws here, so just pull those guys out. Cup holder is a great place for screws. So pull this up and snap this. There we go. And this comes out. There is a harness plugged in here for your cigarette lighter. There's a clip on the back that you squeeze with your thumb or with your finger. It comes out. Just squeeze that little clip. Move that out of the way. Next, this that looks to be attached to the heater, so let's continue upward. So we've got this, comes out like that, snaps right in. Same deal here. It snaps. Okay. Now we've got this and the heater controls. So that unsnaps, and alright, well this appears to be behind this, so let's take the top out. That unsnaps. There's a plastic clip here that you press with your finger and unplug the four-way button. I will say from experience that if you do not plug the four-way button back in, your blinkers will not function when you are done in most cars. So make sure you plug that in. This is where you need your magnet. 1, 2, these are 10mm screws. One, two. Pull our radio out, and we will unplug it. 1, 2. 3, 4, 5 plugs. Okay. Now I am noticing here that there appears to be something installed that runs this way. I don't know what it is. So it looks like this car has a GPS in it, which makes sense. It's a fleet vehicle, or it was a fleet vehicle. So there's a GPS installed. So I can see it up here. It's sitting up on top of the glove box. And let's get that out. So we'll take out this screw here. And here's our GPS. Cal amp. Fun. Okay, so we'll get this removed. So as I mentioned when I talked about the security system earlier, usually security systems will always be installed under the dash because that's where most of the things that they connect to live. GPS units and carjacking equipment, things like that, they will usually be hidden. And connecting them to the radio gives you access to a lot of the wires that you need, like power and ground and ignition switch and stuff like that. But it also allows them to hide the unit back here, where somebody wouldn't necessarily know to look. Okay. So we have successfully removed our GPS system. Tape that harness back up so that it looks like it did before they installed everything. Same deal with these two. Alright, so now we'll get our mount installed on our radio. So we have to take our factory stereo over here. Okay. So we need to take the factory mounts off of here. Three. Four. Four screws on both sides. That's off. We're also going to need these clips. Okay, clips. So the radio can be tossed aside. Now, these brackets have a right and left side, and these say right and left as well. So it looks like we're going to mount this into the radio through this other bracket. Which is going to be challenging, of course, because the screws they give you are always too short. So that'll work. Alright, so again, I'm gonna have to find some hardware that's gonna work for this. Which is great. It's just frustrating, you know? The kit comes with no screws. And if it's not the same thread as the radio that came out of it, then you have no way to screw in the new radio. Which is the problem that I have in this case. Oh, I got that one to reach. Okay, cool. So my bracket is tight. I got one in my side clip. That'll work. Then and truthfully, the problem could also be that I'm using this dual radio, which is a little janky. So get this nice and tight. Get this nice and tight. If I was putting the Kenwood in this car, the Kenwood is actually threaded the same as the factory radio, so the factory screws would go right in there. Good idea to maybe put a rag down when you're working on this so that you don't damage the face, which I luckily didn't, but definitely could have just now. Cool. So, got the dual radio installed. Now let's see how it fits in our kit. So it fits into the kit. It's not perfect. There's a little tiny gap here, a little tiny gap here, but it's not bad. They're making a universal kit to work with a whole bunch of different radios, so can't really knock the manufacturers for it. So let's get this out of our way. So what next? We're going to install these clips on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can get this radio in the car. And get the camera back in the car. Move the camera here so that you can see it a little bit better. Alright, so got our radio here. Now, one thing that's going to be different about this radio than the factory radio is, first, it's only going to use 2 of the harness plugs. Why is that? Well, because this car is the base model, so they're all going to have the same wiring harnesses from the factory. This one is for your steering wheel controls, which this car doesn't have steering wheel controls, but the harness is here because if it had steering wheel controls, it would just be a different steering wheel. This one is if it has an amplified setup, or things like a CD changer or stuff like that. So the 2 that I'm concerned with are the 2 that are plugged in. These 2 are not going to be used with the aftermarket radio, even though they're used with the factory radio. I do need to install my USB port somewhere in order to be able to plug in my phone. So I like the glove box for that. I'm gonna just kind of stick it over the wall here into the glove box, and there I am. And then I do need to put in my microphone, so we'll set this here for a second. Okay, so we've got our microphone. And what we'll do with the microphone for now is we'll just take this cable, reach it up under the driver's side portion of the dash, and we will plug it in to our mic port. So I'm going to put the radio in now. So as I mentioned, we have 2 plugs in the harness that we care about. We have our factory antenna, which plugs into the back of the radio here. And then I'm just gonna push this in the hole. So that's what our radio looks like now. So we'll grab these 10mm screws. Okay. So that's one installed. Two installed. reinstalled. And then I lost a screw under my seat. Let me grab that. All right. So, our radio's screwed in. Next, to snap our bezel on, this needs to be in first, so we'll snap that in. Then this guy. Okay. So that's snapped in. It's a little proud of the AC controls, but it's consistent all the way across, so I'm okay with it. Putting things back the way that they came in, this goes next. There we go. That works. Next, snap that back in. Then we have these upper pieces. That. And like this. Oh, crap. I should have put my glove box back in first. Oops. So, take this back out. Okay. So, there we go. There's a Phillips here. So really, reinstallation is just kind of the opposite of the beginning of the video. This was next. And, you know, while I have this apart, I'm going to clean up. There's like some coffee stain or something like that there. So, take our... just take this, which has some Tarex on it. That'll wipe that right off. So that's snapped back in. And there we are. Radio's installed. Got everything plugged back in. Security lights flashing. That's working. Okay, seems to work just fine. So we will take our USB cord, we can shut it in here, we can drop it down the bottom, we can do whatever we want to with it. And we'll get a phone plugged in there and test all that stuff out, but it seems to be working just fine. I hear sound out of all the speakers. And we can go through the setup functions and make sure that everything is working. So, system, time format, fader, balance, equalizer, surround, time settings. Today is 5. Oh, day. I believe the day is 29. 5, 2021. Three 51 p.m. Okay, so our time's set, and we should be good to go. Alright, so we'll play with CarPlay, hang the microphone